So today I wanted to talk about what it is Bob Stoops said when he was talking about how talented Spencer Rattler is, because it's something I've highlighted here on this channel, and I also wanted to take that opportunity to talk about OU football as a whole post-spring, because we talked about the spring game, but we haven't really talked about where the team stands heading into fall camp, and I want to talk about all of that right now. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from y'all, and given that we're talking about Spencer Rattler first and foremost, do you believe that he is a lock to be in New York for the Heisman ceremonies next season? And let me know what you're thinking there. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification. That way you don't miss any of my content. And if you enjoy that content, be sure to like and comment down below, because those interactions are huge for content creators such as myself. But first and foremost, let's kick this off talking about what it is Bob Stoops identified with Spencer Rattler. And the first thing he said was that his platform, his ability to make a throw from any arm angle, is really what sets him apart. And that's something that I've been talking about on this channel. These new age of quarterbacks are able to make throws from platforms that traditional quarterbacks just couldn't, because you're really not supposed to be able to do it. Guys like Russell Wilson really led this charge, and I'm not saying he was the first, but he's been so successful at what he's done. And if you look at it, the majority of these guys have a background in baseball, and it makes sense that Rattler has this ability because he has that background in baseball. But he is able to do a throw from any arm angle with a lot of velocity and with high accuracy. And that right there is an incredibly coveted trait from college and NFL teams alike. I mean, if you really just look at the past few classes, and if you can identify the quarterbacks that are able to make those throws the way that Spencer does, they're usually the most highly ranked quarterbacks among their classes. Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Malachi Nelson now. Guys who are able to have incredibly quick releases, even with the pass rush bearing down on them. If they have to contort their body, they can sidearm a throw with a lightning fast release, with the throw having all the velocity and accuracy it's needed. But now, I kind of want to take this time, when we're talking about Spencer Rattler, how talented he is, to now take the time to talk about the OU team as a whole, because Spencer is such a big part of that. And his ability to make any throw from any platform, to make very quick reads, to make a quick release, because he has a lightning quick release, is all going to bode well for the Sooners. Because if you were to look at the Sooners offensively, there's not a lot of holes. In fact, very few. And if we were really nitpicking, and I say question very, loosely, because I don't think that there are many questions on this team. But if we just had to nitpick for the sake of the conversation, and we're looking at the offense, the question we have is the offensive line, because you lose Creed Humphrey. The answer to that right there, even though you've had some shakeups, you don't know who will start, you have guys that have a good amount of experience. You have some talented transfers coming in, a guy like Wanye Morris from Tennessee. So you have a lot of talent, you have some good experience, and even if they don't gel immediately, you hope that the talent and the experience can come together. But that's not even one of the 4 reasons why I have identified that I'm not too worried about the Sooners' offensive line, even in a worst-case scenario setting. The first of those reasons is Bill Bedenbaugh. You have a phenomenal offensive line coach. Even if things in a worst case scenario setting, he's going to figure out a way to at least maximize what you do have, which is some talent and some experience, so you'll be able to do something. The second is Lincoln Riley. If at worst case scenario, the offensive line isn't where you want it to be, Lincoln Riley can scheme some things. The third is Spencer Rattler. Because he has a quick release, because he can process things quickly, and he can throw from any platform, that ability allows for him to get throws that most quarterbacks can't, because he can sit in a situation and have a pass rusher bearing down on him and throw the ball with more confidence, because he knows he has more ways to make that throw than your typical quarterback. And my fourth reason that I'm not too concerned, even in a worst case scenario for this Oklahoma offensive line, is the combination of the wide receivers, the tight ends, and the running backs out the backfield. When you combine everything I just said, and you have Lincoln Riley being the guy scheming it all together, that's the perfect storm. That right there, they're going to find a way in a worst case scenario to be fine. So like I said, I say the word question very loosely, because I think you're going to have a very talented unit. I think that when you look at all the 4 things I said, they will answer themselves and work themselves out, because you have receivers that can get open, that have speed, that have good route running ability, that can break off of quick routes. You have a quarterback with a quick release that can get the ball out quickly if he needs to, and even if he needs to wait a second longer, he has the ability to throw a throw off of an unconventional angle with a pass rusher bearing down on him. And then even there, I think that your offensive line is going to be just fine. I don't know that they allow 22 sacks again like they did last year. I wouldn't be surprised if they did because there's a lot of talent on this line. It may take some time, but Bill Bedenbaugh is a guy who has earned every bit of leeway, and I don't think that this is going to be a line that we look mid-season and are worrying about anymore. This is going to be an offensive line that is just fine. Replacing Creed Humphrey is not going to be easy, but it's going to be doable when we look at everything else. And I know I kind of just talked about the entire offense, but that's kind of the point, because I think that the one area that we could question, that we could only question on offense, is the offensive line. That's the only thing. And even then, it's not that big of a question mark because your unbelievable talent at wide receiver can solve that. Your quarterback can solve that. Your running backs out the backfield can solve that to spring open the regular rush. If they get open through the pass, a defense has to change the way they're calling plays, allowing for the run game in the conventional fashion to take hold again. All of those right there on your offense answer the one possible question you could have, which I believe the answer is already in that room in the offensive line you have, and Bill Bedenbaugh, which is why he was my number one reason I'm not worried about it. But now let's look at the defense, because I'm very excited for the Oklahoma defense. Look, I'm more of a fan of defense as it is. Don't get me wrong, I love great offensive football, but this super-powered offenses is only making me love defense more because it's becoming harder and harder to defend it, and good defense is becoming all the better. And good defense sometimes looks like an opportunistic defense. Maybe you're not allowing teams to score the least, maybe you're getting the most turnovers. The Oklahoma defense, if we had to question one area, just like we did the offense, it'd be the defensive back position. And make no mistake, once again, just like on the offense, I use the word question lightly. And I have a similar list of why I use it very lightly. First and foremost on that list, the guys in the room. I think you have a very talented unit, but you did lose 2 guys to the draft. It's never easy to replace 2 starters in that room, but when you look at the guys behind them, you have guys that have some meaningful experience. And even the guys that don't have meaningful experience, they have a lot of upside. You get in Key Lawrence from Tennessee, who we heard the staff talk about through this spring. When everything's clicking with Key Lawrence, they said he's one of the best players on that team. Not just on defense, but the team. And I can attest, when things are clicking for Key Lawrence, he's going to be a phenomenal player in that system, and he will change the way you're able to do things. But even outside of him, we've talked a lot about the nickel position because right now there's a competition between such a Cradell and Billy Bowman. Now, I've been on record saying I think Billy Bowman will make this competition closer than most believe. And I know that some people thought that that was a stretch because Cradell is a talented player, a guy that most people thought would win that nickel position, and deservedly so because he has the requisite ability. But then we saw Billy Bowman play, and you guys saw what I got to see live, and this kid has got it. He was in phenomenal position against Marvin Mims, a seasoned receiver at this point with all the ability in the world. For a true freshman to be able to make the play that he did on that goal line against Marvin Mims tells you the upside he will have, because in the fall, I have a feeling if that same play was to be made, Billy Bowman would intercept that pass because he's going to be able to identify things quicker. Your defense is going to be very good. So my first thing, the reason why I'm not concerned, the talent in the room. Just like I just said, your transfers, your young guys, I really like them. The second reason I'm not too concerned is your pass rush. If you have a defense on the back end that you have some questions about, maybe some new guys coming in, you're high on them, you think they'll be good, but nonetheless, you're in the Big 12, a unfriendly league to defend the pass against, and you have new guys back there. That's still a hard outing, right? That's not easy. If you have a very talented pass rush that can affect the quarterback, that can disrupt the quarterback and get him uncomfortable, it makes the job of the DB all the easier. And that pass rush is exactly what OU's strong suit might be on their defense. That not only do they have talented defensive backs, but this front unit for Oklahoma is very serious in their talent, a unit that we have to watch out for. Whether it's Benito, whether it's Perion Winfrey, the front line of this unit is going to cause a lot of disruptions to quarterback. They're going to get them uncomfortable. They're going to make throws that aren't as accurate, which are going to allow for the defensive backs to have more passes defended, more interceptions, because they are going to be able to get the assistance of the defensive front for Oklahoma. This Oklahoma cornerback and defensive back room already has the talent. They're just newer guys, and even then, a lot of them have some decent experience. But if you can have that front unit be as disruptive as we think they're going to be, those guys are going to be on a learning curve on the back end because a lot of the pressure is being taken off them by that front unit. And look, to end this out, if I had to identify, and one thing I'm very, very interested in hearing from y'all, so go ahead and hop down in the comments and let me know this. What player are you most looking forward to seeing in this OU season coming up? Because for me, the answer is very simple. I mean, it's not simple to identify because there's a lot of guys that I think could be a correct answer, whether we're talking Spencer, Mario Williams, Eric Gray. I mean, whoever you choose is going to be a good answer. I'm very, very intrigued by Agwebu because I think that his upside is really, really interesting, and I'm really hoping I get to see him play this year because if he's in there and if that middle linebacking core can really start clicking for OU, man, that could be a dangerous unit because they already have all the upside. When we're talking about Asamoah or White, this is a very, very talented unit, and because of that, I'm very interested in hearing from y'all. First and foremost, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you think Spencer Rattler is a lock to Oklahoma for the Heisman ceremony? Not necessarily winning it, but is he going to be in New York for the ceremony? Because I'd have to imagine that he would be. And then what player on the team as a whole are you most looking to seeing this fall? For me, it has to be Agwebu because his talent is incredibly intriguing to me, and I'm very interested to see him play. And what were your biggest question marks for the Sooners? And I say question marks so lightly because this is a very talented team, and like I said in this video, any area where I had question marks, for lack of a better term, I think there are multiple answers to answer those question marks or to help them come along easier and learn better. Can't wait to hear from y'all. Hop down below, let me know what you're thinking, and that's it. See ya.